Good morning. Welcome to Against the Public for January 31st, last day of the month, which means I will be on Pickdawgz.com prorating my season passes. So if you think last month was a little bit too rich for your bankroll, I'm going to be reducing them. So obviously, maybe this gives you another opportunity to jump on board with a college basketball pass or an NBA pass. Also, I will be putting up a Major League Baseball early bird season pass. You will not be able to beat this price. You can get all my selections all season long for one low price. And pitchers and catchers are coming soon, so don't think it's too far away. They are coming soon, and it's one of my favorite times of the year. I grew up playing baseball. It's always kind of been the sport that is closest to my heart, although I love every other sport that we handicap. But just something, I don't know, something different about baseball. I don't know what it is. Crazy enough, too, considering I'm a Pirates fan, you would think I would hate baseball, and I kind of do from that standpoint. But as far as being a fan, it's very difficult. But as far as being a handicapper, it's one of my favorite times of year. So that will be up as well. Before we get to today's free play, let's update all access customer numbers. Over the last 7 days, we just continued to roll 42 and 23, 65% winners over the previous 7 days, plus 1,794 units. That's number one on Pickdawgz.com. Last 30 days, 58% winners, good for 3,095 units, also number one on Pickdawgz.com. And I wanted to also clear something up, and I don't even know if it was a misconception or maybe I said something wrong, but yesterday in the video, when I talk about all access members, that means customers that have gone on Pickdawgz.com and they've gotten an all access pass. And that means every play that I release, whether it's the NBA, college basketball, NHL, they get every play. So when we talk about all access games or numbers, that's what that means. So I had a few of you say, well, hey, where's the Stony Brook game? Why, you said that we were going to lead with Stony Brook, and that was an elite play, or that was a premium play, I guess I should say. So that was up on the website. So I didn't know if there was any confusion with that. I just want to clear that up. So, so you didn't think I said I was going to talk about Charleston and Stony Brook and didn't. But anyway, hopefully that's cleared that up. It's been a great run for everybody, and I hope everybody has been able to profit. If you're contemplating an all-access pass right now, we're kicking off a brand new month tomorrow, and it is time to jump on that 30-day pass. And I know there's not 30 days in a month, but I don't have a 28, 29-day pass, but it is a brand new month. And you know what you would have done if you jumped on a 30-day pass in January. You'd be sitting pretty at this point. Your bankroll would be pretty hefty at this point. So don't let another month go by. Jump on board. Let's have a terrific 2025. You'd be up almost 4,000 units in 2025 if you jumped on that 30-day pass to start the month. Of course, viewers on this show, well, we cashed with Drake yesterday. I was really confident in this game, and I'm not a guy. I get asked this all the time. Well, what's your best plays? And I'm a guy that's very methodical, very analytical. I use a lot of different algorithms, and so that allows me to not get emotionally involved in a game. That the numbers never get emotionally involved. I do use a little bit of a psychological tactic as well. I like to hear coaches talk. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I really liked Drake yesterday, and I didn't want to put an improper emphasis on it, but of course they got the win and the cover. So I was happy for that. We needed a W, and we got that on our free plays. Hit the link below, see how we did on Thursday. I'm Dana Lane. Thanks for joining me. Before we jump into Friday's free play, let's look at how your all access customer card is shaping up for Friday. We have a 14-game card in college basketball. We'll put 3 games out as normal, or as we normally do. We'll start things off with Niagara and Canisius. Now, that is a premium play. That is not going to be a free play or talked about on the video. That's going to be a premium play on Pickdawgz.com. And this is all college basketball customers. This is all they've done. Over the last 7 days, we've cashed 65% winners, 605 units won. That's number #1 overall at Pickdawgz.com. 65-42 over the last 30 days, 61% winners, 1,875 units won, also #1 on Pickdawgz.com. And this entire season, 56% winners, 2,498 units won in college basketball. Don't let another day pass. We are white hot in college hoops. Make sure you jump on board. So, emphasis on college basketball doesn't mean we're not crushing it in other sports. For instance, tomorrow there'll be a 7-game card in the NBA. We'll pull another 3 selections from that. 65% documented winners in the NBA over the last 7 days. NHL will feature a 4-game card. We're trying to get 3 winners out of that. I don't want to I try to always put 3 games up. That's kind of my goal. Sometimes I'll put 4, sometimes I'll put 5. Get crazy sometimes I put 6 college basketball, but always try to grab at least 3. Now, obviously, if it's a 1-game schedule, we can't do that, but always try to get 3, but I don't want to force anything either. So I'm going to make sure I confirm, goaltenders for tomorrow before I put those out, but we are going to try to get 3 plays out of that 4-game schedule. Of course, 65% winners over the last 7 days, #1 overall on Pickdawgz.com. 56% winners over the last 30 days, also #1 on Pickdawgz.com amongst cappers with at least 55 plays. All plays, records documented on Pickdawgz.com for better or worse. So you can go there every single day and see what every handicapper, including myself, have done on Thursday. So that adds up to a 9-game card on Fridays, all access membership. Typically during the week we'll have 9 games, so that's more than enough to get you set up for the weekend. Of course, you can jump on my annual all access pass. That gives you every play that I release for the next 365 days for just $4.11 a day. Now, I expect that there was a bunch of you that jumped on those 30-day passes to start January. You had a great month, so it's time to get an annual all access pass and lock yourself in for the next year. Okay. On to your free play. Let's head to back to college basketball. Rotation number 873, 874, starting at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock Pacific. Dayton Flyers, St. Louis Billikens. St. Louis is a 1-point favorite on the early number. The reason I hesitate is there are a bunch of different numbers. Some are a pick. We see a 1.5 out there. I just went with a 1 because that was right in the middle, and that's very close to what you will probably get. Total 145. The under will have some juice attached to it. Dayton 14-7 straight up this year, 10-10 against the number, 13-6-1 to the over. Flyers are coming off that horrible 22-point loss to St. Bonaventure. They were a 2.5-point road favor. They have now failed to cover in 8 of their last 10 games, and 6 of their last 8 games have cashed overs. St. Louis 13-8 straight up, 7-12 ATS, 15-4 to the under this year. Really good against the or on the totals if you're betting them under. Billikens are coming off that impressive 9-point victory over VCU. They were a 5.5-point favorite. Crazy game if you haven't seen that. We'll talk about that in a second. This game produced the first over for St. Louis since December 15th. That includes a 9-game stretch in between over results. St. Louis has not had back-to-back overs since last March. So keep that in mind as we continue on with our free play analysis. When I'm looking at a total, and this game is more about the numbers for me. When I'm looking at a total, the first thing I do is I look at a team's pace of play. And it may play out the way that they like to play. It may not, and that depends on the opponent that they're up against. Has the total been adjusted? Which way do you think it's higher or lower? Which really gives you, by the way, if you're looking at betting a side, that total will tell you which way the odds makers think the game is going as well. But I do look at a lot of the team's tempo to see, or the total to see exactly how the odds makers think that the tempo is going to go in the game, and of course, which team do I think has an advantage? Because a lot of times you have a team that's dominant towards the under, like St. Louis is, and sometimes they'll play a game in this case against Dayton, who was 13-6 to the over. So then you have to determine which pace of play do you think is going to, be the right side in a game. Now, for the Flyers, well, they shoot for a high percentage. They don't take a lot of shots. They'll likely be in that 50 to 55 range, and I think closer to 50 against St. Louis, who's a really good defensive team. I suspect their field goal percentage will not be as good as it has been, or at least the season percentage that Dayton has. And the reason is you look at a lot of these numbers, and they're compiled against inferior opponents. So if you look at a team and you just take their statistics for what they are, Dayton shoots for a very high percentage, but what do they do against teams of equal competition like St. Louis? Well, that's something that you have to go through and definitely come up with that answer, which we have. They were favored in games this year. There was 3 games where they were favored by 20. There was 9 games where they were double-digit favorites. That can jack up a field goal percentage really quick. So sometimes the numbers, you'll say, oh wow, they shoot for a high percentage. They're going to be able to, they're going to be able to put up a lot of points. No, a lot of times that's a false number because of what they've done early in the season. As far as St. Louis is concerned, I don't expect to see a brawl in the stands like we saw against VCU. If you haven't seen that video, you probably maybe go watch it and maybe not go watch it. Those things kind of disturb me, but it is absolutely wild. And the game was interrupted for 7 or 8 minutes, and really it could have cost St. Louis because the tempo of that game was absolutely lost. So St. Louis did manage to hang on to that game, but a wild scene between St. Louis and VCU. What I do expect to see is another solid effort out of St. Louis defensively. They held VCU to just 33% from the floor. VCU shot 16% from 3. It is the 4th straight game where the Billikens held an opponent under 70 points in 8 of their last 9. I love where St. Louis is defensively right now, and I think this total is a little bit too high. Also, when you're coming off an emotional game, and believe me, it wasn't just emotional in the stands. That was a big game for both of those teams. A game that probably not many of us paid attention to, but it was a massive game for both of these teams. Very high intensity, and sometimes when you come off a game like that, you just can't match it in the next game. So I always think you can play well defensively, but sometimes intensity affects your offense, and maybe other people think the opposite of that. But I think coming off an emotional game affects you on the offensive end because your cuts aren't as crisp and you're not running the plays as crisp. You don't have that extra that little extra bit of energy that you would have in a big game atmosphere. So I think this is going to be very difficult for St. Louis to kind of crank it back up again. Maybe we'll see that in the second half, but I think if you bake this all up, I think we're looking at an under here. 143.5 is going to be your free play for Friday. Sorry if I rambled a little bit, but I don't see a lot of avenues where this game goes over the total. Perhaps the free throws at the end will push it over, but I think 143.5 is a little bit high. I think we're going to get close to that number for sure, but I think we'll slide just underneath that number. So that's your free play for Friday. Please go to pickdawgz.com, where every individual play and every discounted long-term pass is available as we speak, including the annual all-access pass for just $4.11 a day. I can't thank you enough for joining me. Thank you so much for the interaction on YouTube. For Against the Public, I'm Dana Lane. All the best to you and your wagers on Friday.